I've done my own interview with wrestling legend Lex Luger in his mother's home in Buffalo, which might be his home now because I know his mother has since passed away. And I recently posted clips from his interview with Reflections on this channel that I had a little collaboration with. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Lex Luger. The interesting thing that he pointed out in his Reflections interview that I never really thought about. A lot of people think that maybe the reason he's not in the WWE Hall of Fame yet is because he left WWE to go to WCW. Like pretty much he appeared in WWE in I think New Brunswick or the Maritimes in Canada one night, teaming with Davey Boy Smith, and the next night was on Nitro in Minneapolis. There was some mess up with his contract that JJ Dillon, who was head of talent relations at the time, said Lex kept assuring him that they would do a new contract, and supposedly he was close with Vince at the time, so they trusted him. And I guess the truth was he had gone behind their backs and made a deal with Eric Bischoff. He ended up with a better position in WCW than he had had in WWE. But anyways, I was always thinking maybe that was the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet, since there's so many lesser deserving people in the WWE Hall of Fame. But he brought up a good point that it may have been due to the controversy of his arrest and the time that he served in jail related to, I believe it was possession of drugs and the whole controversy involving Elizabeth. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. There's certainly people that are far more controversial in the Hall of Fame. And obviously they put Alundra Blaze, aka Medusa, in the Hall of Fame, who basically she's best known, honestly, for putting the WWE title in the trash in WCW. I barely remember anything else she did in WCW other than at one point she was managing the Dangerous Alliance members along with Paul Heyman. And then, of course, they gave her a mega push in WWE as Alundra Blaze, but eventually it fizzled out to the point where they just gave up on it and I guess never took the title back. But Luger, one thing I will say is I saw all these videos of him after hearing all these shoot interviews of him, of people saying how he was one of the most arrogant people that they've ever met in wrestling. Prima donna, couldn't stop staring himself in the mirror, didn't care about anyone else. And then you see him in all these videos acting very religious and being such a positive person and a positive role model. And I do have to say, when I met him, I definitely got the sense that he is very legitimate in what he's presenting right now to the public. I don't believe that's a work at all. I believe that's how he generally is, and he may have been I don't know if you'd call him a bad person, but a very self-centered person in his earlier life. I don't think he's that way anymore. The one thing I noticed from all these interviews, he did say in my interview he took growth hormone. I don't know if it's still like this. I'm not very familiar with human growth hormone, but you can see in all of his interviews the size of his forehead is very large. It's larger than a normal human's forehead. And he even makes a comment in his Reflections interview when he puts over Goldberg and says he couldn't have done what Goldberg did, and he doesn't have the head to be bald. And that even just makes you look at it closer and be like, oh my God, this guy has a massive forehead. And you always hear that human growth hormone makes the skull larger. That's one thing I got out of it. He's very honest about his performance enhancing PED use in all of his interviews. I will say that PEDs have come full circle. You at one point they were legal. Then in the early 90s, it made them illegal. Now they're legal again under a doctor's prescription as TRT, or if you go to a rejuvenation clinic, you can get them prescribed again. So they have come full circle. I'm not sure. I know Bill Watts said that at various points in time, there was supposedly testing in WCW. It was never as strict as WWE. I'm not sure. I know WWE's policy is always changing as well. I do know TRT is allowed, from what I understand now. AEW, there's definitely some massively jacked individuals, but it is entertainment. But overall, I would say Lex Luger, he seems like, I would say he's an honest person. A lot of people lie a lot in shoot interviews or will bend the truth to protect them or elaborate on stories. I would say Lex Luger tells the truth. I get that sense from Lex Luger. I don't sense he's lying. The one person I'll say that doesn't tell the truth. Recently saw some interview clips of Tatanka acting like his feud with Lex Luger was setting the world on fire. I remember seeing Tatanka against Lex Luger in around March of '94 in Kingston, Ontario, from about 800 fans. And I heard Tatanka say, "Well, they never put the match on pay-per-view, even though it was killing it everywhere." If that match was really killing it and that angle was really killing it, it would have been on pay-per-view. WWE is a business, but yeah, and I'm sure Lex Luger. I don't really recall if I asked him about the Tatanka feud or not, which I thought was a rather lame feud. I do feel bad for Lex. He never got that world title run. He still sounds positive about it, but that WWE world title run at SummerSlam, it was 90. I think it was March '95 when I saw Tatanka against Luger, because it was SummerSlam '94 was when Luger was supposed to win the world title, or everyone thought he would, and he had a count out, and they dropped balloons for the count out. And I remember even as a little kid thinking, why are they dropping balloons for a count out victory? This is a lame finish. And I always wonder if they had given Lex a proper finish there, and let him have a good run with the title, could he have got over better? We'll never know, but he did end up having a pretty good career in WCW. Very unfortunate, everything that happened with Elizabeth. Sad ending. Yeah, and I'm glad that he tries to be a positive role model right now. And I'll always remember the day I had with him. Very nice guy. I wish I could get another interview with him at some point in time. There's a lot more I'd like to ask him. And I wish him the best in his health. 1993. Oh, SummerSlam. Okay, so it was March of '94 when I saw him against Tatanka, because it was SummerSlam '93 with Yokozuna, and I think Tatanka joined the $1 Million Corporation around then too. It's a long time ago, but I do remember I used to go from about '89 to '90 or to 2001. I went to pretty much all the house shows within driving distance that I could convince my family to go to. And I remember there was some in Hull, Quebec that had around 900 fans, but that one in Kingston with the main event of Luger and Tatanka was really low crowd. That was like a C show. It also had the Smoking Guns against Heavenly Bodies and Quang against Ray Apollo. One of the Doinks, and Bob Backlund wrestled somebody. Do I remember when he beat Hogan on Nitro? Yeah, he always did. Oh, the other thing I'll say about Tatanka is the excuse he used why they never gave Lex Luger a pay-per-view match against Tatanka is, oh, he went to WCW shortly after that, and they knew he was going to WCW. No, he was in a tag team with Davey Boy Smith afterwards. And he didn't go to WCW until a while later, and he shocked them by going to WCW. He was working for WWE the night before. I agree. He should be in the WWE Hall of Fame.